Hi folks, and welcome back to another fly tying tutorial. What you see in the vise is my version of a blue-winged olive, continuing on in the dry fly series. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hook in the vise then is a Hanak H130 barbless hook. This one's at size 10, it's on a light wire and it's finished in black nickel. Now the thread I'm going to be using today is from Simplify. It's nano silk at 12/0 and as you can see it's black. As always with the nano silks, we're going to get a tiny touch of super glue onto the shank of the hook and we'll spread that up and down with our silk. Then I can get a bed of tying silk down onto the shank. You don't need to be overly worried when you're coming down, and then come in with your snips and remove your waste. Next then I'm going to come back up in open turns and I'm going to add my tail. Now you can use lots of different things for the tail. You can use cock cape fibres, but I'm going to use one of my favourites for dry flies, which is this moose mane. The ends of it makes fantastic tailing fibres. Now I've already picked out a few fibres. I think I've picked out 3 this time. I don't much bother with the counting. You know, people say, oh, you need 2, you need 3. Sometimes I'll put 4 or 5 in, because once the fly's been hit a few times, these tend to break away. So I want it twice the length of the hook shank. Just show that up to the shank there. And then I can bring it down. Get it into place. Then I can get rid of these waste bits at the front. Now if you're a bit of a meanie, you can save these and use them for bodies. They make fantastic bodies. And I'll just put mine at the side because I am a bit of a meanie. And then I'll come back all the way to the butt section of the fly. Try not to catch the point of the hook like I've just done. It doesn't do the fly particularly well. Next thing I want to do is add in my body. I'm using some hand selected stripped quill from Troutline. This one's been dyed green and it's a real nice deep green. So they come in really long strands. I don't want the very thin part. So I'm going to just take that away off camera there in the very tip. Like so. Now what I want to do before I start to bring this up the shank is I really want to work on a little bit of a taper into the body, which I won't be able to achieve with the quill. That's why often when I'm tying this fly I use a dubbin rather than the quill, but I thought for the video the quill looks a lot nicer. So here we are, but super fine dubbing works just as well. So I've built that little bit of taper. Now before I come up with my quill, I'm just going to get a little bit of super glue onto my dubbing needle. And what I want to do, and the reason I'm not using the brush, is I don't want it to be loads. I just need to be very precise with it. And I'm just going to use that and spread it up the body. Now I'm going to come to the front, get several spare turns in, and then I can grab my hackle pliers get a hold of the end and then start to just use the rotary function on my vise so that I'm avoiding the hook point. You don't want to mix up hook points and stripped quill. They're not good bedfellows. Now I am having a little bit of a gap in between my turns, and the reason for that is I want that black segmentation. I just think it looks so realistic and insect-like. I'll bring it all the way up, and I'm going to start tightening up my turns, because you're not going to see that in a minute. And by the time I've got up to the top, all them spare thread wraps I've put in, I've caught into place. Now, the super glue, the reason for it, it's not because that's how I want to finish it. The reason for it is if anything happens, like your hackle pliers slip, you're not going to have it all unravel on you. It'll still hold into place mostly, and you can actually save the fly, and it saves a lot of frustration. Okay, so I want to finish off the body with some Solaris UV, and again, I don't want very much. It is a dry fly, so you don't want it heavy. Just a little, using the very tip of my brush to just get a little layer on. Doesn't take much. And when you're dealing with the little, the lighter layers, it doesn't take so long to cure either. So we'll just put the UV light on that for the moment. And while we're doing that, what I'll do is I'll explain the hackling I'm going to use. So I'm using this green cock cape and this lighter coloured cock cape. Now you want to select two feathers approximately the same size. Now I've already picked out the two that I want to use. They're very similar in size. I'll just turn the fly to be cured, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to strip away the bottom like so, and then I'll leave enough to tie in, and I'm going to do the same approximately at the same size. Doesn't have to be exact, but approximately, and then I can again leave myself enough to tie in. So back to our fly, and what I want to do is I want to tie in the green one first, or the olive should I say. I've probably left too much of a tag on that. I'm just going to come in and cure that with a scissors, and then directly on top of the olive I'm going to tie in my lighter feather. And then I can finish that like so. Okay. So far so good. Now the next thing I like to do is you can use a number of different things. A little bit of dubbing. You don't have to use anything actually. You can just bring your hackling up now as is and it will serve you well. But what I want to do is I've got a little bit of snowshoe here. It's a very buoyant material, and I'm not a wasteful person. So what I like to do, I use a lot of this for the winging, but I like to just come in with my fingers and pull out a little bit of the snowshoe, which creates an amazing sort of light, lovely olive dubbing. So I'm going to come in with that, just get it on my thread, and bring that up the thorax. Now I've just got a little bit more than I need, so I'll strip that out and bring it all the way to the front of the fly. Now, bring your hackling feathers out from the hook at a 90-degree angle, and if you've lined them up directly on top of each other, you should be able to pinch both tips with your hackle pliers, which will allow you then to bring these over. Now again, once you start bringing them up, sweep things back with your fingers. Like so. Now these out and out dry flies, I'm not a huge fan, but I know they've got a place in boxes, and this is something that I really need to get a little bit more confidence in. I'm much more akin to sticking on a little emerger during any kind of hatch and expecting to get a result. So I brought it to the front of the hook here, and I'm going to catch that in with my thread. Just a couple of turns is all it'll take. Once you've done that, you can release your hackle pliers. I'm going to lick the thumb and forefinger of my left hand, pull everything back, and I want to just create a nice small head. I'll grab my hackle pliers, and just tighten up on that. Then I can come in with my scissors and snip that away. Then all that remains to be done is grab the tips of your wing. Now it looks a bit of a hot mess at the moment, but once I've come in with my toothbrush here, it'll come good. Now, what I would like to do with this, and I'm not going to because we are tying an out and out dry fly, is normally I would come in with my fingers, I'd pull as much of that up as I could. Anything that was hanging down from the bottom, I would trim away with a pair of scissors, but it doesn't make it an out and out dry fly here now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.